Help me! Help me.
It's a trap.
It's a trap.
We made a very strong point of trying to stay true to the original film, which was a real jungle with real actors and a real guy in a suit. So we tried to stay true to that and be faithful to that.
What I really loved about the original movie was that it was a sort of a hybrid film. You had what started off as a traditional commando-type Arnold Schwarzenegger action film, where you fall in love with the characters and you're following them on this journey, and then it starts turning into a science fiction alien-type picture.
The first Predators was groundbreaking because nobody had ever seen like that whole like mythology of that animal in the first one was so fascinating. The fact that he could see infrared. So that's the neat thing about the first one that broke so much ground with people.
The visual effects have gotten better, more sophisticated because that's where technology's taken us. But at the end of the day, it's what is the story? Because that's really what people want to come and see.
This one we wanted to do sort of the same, go back to a character-based movie where the predators could easily just be the characters themselves. They could kill each other off before they got to ever meet one of the creatures. So we wanted to have that sort of tension within a group, uneasy alliances, and get it to a point where you almost forget that there's going to be creatures in the movie.
I'm here, kill me. Come on.
We had a few lines of dialogue and a few beats that we paid homage to the original film with. But at the same time, we did try to do something that was a standalone film. So though there are nods, we didn't want to, ride on his coattails or anything.
This planet is a game preserve. And we're the game.
Robert had written a draft, I believe, in the 90s, and based on that draft, Fox had approached two screenwriters to refresh it because all of the ideas, though very original and strong at the time, some of the ideas had been done since.
Mine really couldn't be done. It was more Avatar than Predators. I mean, there was a lot of creatures and there was a lot of things going on the planet. He wanted to take it just more about the hunt and more about the chase and more about the suspense of that. So it was a cooler direction. It was much more economical, not just financially, but really story-wise. It was more economical and cut to the bone and cut to the emotions more. So it was a good choice.
I was really in love with the concept, though, of the most dangerous game, of hunters being hunted. And I thought that was something that was very appealing. Well, this film is about predators, alien and human. I think that's what the beauty of this film is that the monster isn't who you think it is. And a lot of times we point fingers, but sometimes you just have to look in the mirror. My director of photography, and Steve Joyner and Kayla, we all sat down and we tried to think of other films that had epic jungle scenes in it that really visually was stunning and complemented what the story was trying to achieve. Everything from The Sorcerer to, of course, the original Predators to Arachnophobia. I think there was a wide range of films that we looked at. We all agreed that these jungles can't be the beautiful, lush, jungles that you see in Lost, or you see. We definitely knew that the jungle had to complement the predator.
I've never seen this jungle, and I've seen most.
We ended up actually doing something a little backwards for the locations guys. We sent a Texan to Hawaii to find the locations because he knows what's here that can match. So we sent Logan out there to find things that could look otherworldly, but that then could be brought this way, and along with things we could build, make it happen.
Hawaii wasn't the first choice. We looked at quite a few jungles. We explored Puerto Rico and Mexico, China even. So there was a pretty broad net cast to find this perfect alien jungle, and we ended up in Hawaii because it has a great look. It doesn't have a specific feel to it. Like it's not, you don't see it and go, hey, we're in Hawaii.
Predators 2009. It's a tough day at the office, just kind of showing up and hanging out. They have us in Hawaii. It's tough, it's really tough, but somebody's got to do it.
We ended up using Hilo, Hawaii as our exotic location because it is one of the newest islands that's been formed. It's very rough in terrain. It has a unique vegetation even from the other Hawaiian islands because of its relative young geologic age. And the parts that we went into for the jungle and that locations found for us were very alien, very extreme, very difficult to work in.
From the very early things I've done, I was always very lucky to be surrounded by stuntmen who were extraordinary at what they did. Jeff Dashnaw were just incredible, and the things that they were capable of doing and doing them safely was impressive. It was really impressive.
I'm gonna do my own stunt. Check that out. That's the drop that they're doing today.
Oh my God! That's crazy.
The high fall into the water is something that I think Nimród was very happy with that sequence. And, you know, it was a little bit nerve-wracking for me because, as far as I know, just locals in Hawaii were the only ones that ever dove that. And, you know, you hear, oh, it's 50 feet deep, 30 feet deep. And we actually went out there and it was like 12 feet deep coming from 80 feet. So we had to do a little prep work there.
I get worried about jumping into a pool sometimes, let alone jumping off an 80-foot cliff, so it was pretty impressive. You know, the fact that they were able to do the things that they did was incredible, but the fact that they were able to stand up at the end of it, you know, and give me a hug, that meant a lot.
Extras all in! Extras all in!
North left.
This is just like what it was like almost every day on that 70 show. So there's nothing new to me.
That was so much fun. Oh my God. You know, when I read this, I thought, this isn't really gonna happen. It really happened. It's unbelievable, man. Very cool.
There were a few locations which we tried to match to Hawaii, which we actually found practically here in Texas. We also found a lot of locations that were very otherworldly, alien-looking, not far from Austin. So, Austin is weird.
So this is Hamilton Pool. It's a county park. It's definitely a natural wonder. It's an amazing place, and we're very lucky to be here. We had to put a lot of environmental concerns at the forefront to be able to work in such a sensitive area. And we were very lucky to have the county cooperating with us and letting us be here to film.
The problem is we scouted this location about 2 months ago, and there was no waterfall. That's the first part of the problem. The second part of the problem was it was much warmer. So suddenly, a scene that was meant to go from a very angry place to almost an intimate place has been ruined because we have, though gorgeous, but completely impractical waterfall. My actors are freezing. The sound department hates my guts because we can't hear anything. I put my DP in the water as well, so he's not very happy with me right now either. This is a tough day. I'm so proud of them. That water is so cold. Nobody would want to be there. People talk about the glamorous Hollywood life of actors. There you go.
The water is cold. My understanding is Texas is actually in the south, but I guess not. But the air temperature is much colder, so it's good. You know, I feel like I'm earning my stripes, you know?
Central Texas has so many weird rock formations, and Texas in general does too. I mean, you go to Big Bend, and it's like, whoa, what is this? And I really feel like if you're creative and you can match it and then create things on a stage that go along with the same thing, then you have the makings of pretty much being able to shoot anything here. You know, the timetable is always short. That's part of the reason we can make them for less than somebody else could have. It's a whole culture of thinking. How can we make this movie for this money, but make it huge, make it look huge? You know, this is the same budget as Sin City, but this one has huge sets and not as much visual effects. You know, this group of people just always comes up with the most amazing things, and then they just work nonstop. I mean, these guys have been working 7-day weeks for weeks now.
I think the thing about Predators that was really the kicker from the beginning was we all had the mandate that we were going to refer to the original Predator only. That's what we all wanted to do. We were really inspired by the idea. I think I watched the original Predator 7 times. I've studied every frame. John McTiernan did such a fantastic job with his team so long ago. Every scene was well thought out. Every scene had a person camouflaged in the frame. They really attended to every detail. They had great foreground images, always something between the character and the camera. I mean, everything was really structured. It had a great architecture to it. When you have that kind of challenge facing you, you want to rise to the occasion.
Steve and Kayla and their whole art department is just truly, and then they, like you said, they designed the weapons. It's a whole process. And now it's like this crazy Willy Wonka shop of whatever. You know, we can make anything happen.
Sarah is making alien Shane right now. Again, you don't want anything to be human down to the smallest detail. So all our links will be made of rubber and assembled, especially for great foreground moments. You want to have things always in foreground, and this is a great way to do that, and it gives a cool bit of visual interest. This is a prop that's coming up in a few days. This is a weapon that I think will be used between Royce and the Berserker. The head of the tool has to break off during a stunt, so everything has to be raked accordingly so it can be a breakaway piece.
I think one thing that Robert Rodriguez achieved in Troublemakers is it is a filmmaker studio. And unfortunately, in a business where millions of dollars are involved and it has become very much a business, you lose a lot of the artistic process. And one thing that Troublemaker and Robert gave me was an environment in which to make a film based on what the filmmaker feels is right for the film. And that is something very special.
And then let me see where your look is gonna be. Ready? And hold it with the other hand then. Grab the leash with the other hand. There you go.
There's no studio heads down here, you know, telling people what to do. They get to come and really play, and I really enjoy hiring people to come do something different than they usually do.
I think that he was able to protect me in a way that, and it may have something to do with distance, I don't know, but I think it had a lot to do with just making sure we had all the tools and toys to play with.
It gives them a real opportunity to spread their wings and be very creatively fulfilling and prove themselves in a different way.
I got here Friday. Wow. I had all day yesterday and today.
Jungle is
and it's nice to be
now in Texas. It's crazy.
No, I'm truly like, and outside? Oh my God.
We've gotten a very good response from the crew that actually saw the Hawaii location and shot on it. They're having a very good time reliving the hell of Hawaii.
Well, first of all, how it was realized with Steve Joyner and Kayla, they were my prop masters originally from Dusk Till Dawn on. Really terrific building props, a lot of detail, and they started growing into doing vehicles. And finally, at one point, I said, okay, you just, I'm just going to hand over the production design to you guys from now on. And so they bring this sort of detail of prop making to their sets.
They literally think as filmmakers from the inside out. They don't think as, oh, let's make the set and then let the lights work the way they should. And they think of the lighting. When they build the set, they're already thinking about how it might be lit and how dramatic it could be for that character. So they think about the character.
So that's why everything looks just so incredibly layered and detailed. And over the years, I was always like, I like texture, and Now the texture, by the time we got to this movie, texture is coming out about this much from the walls. So it builds a lot of depth into the picture and a lot of detail and just layers and layers of aging. And that really comes through in the hunting camp, where this is one of the places on the planet where the predators bring their prey, their caught prey, hang them up, torture them, skin them, do whatever it is that they do to them.
A big part of the theme that we tried to work on, and we got great help from Nimród and our director of photography, Yautja Transformed, is you don't know when one environment ends and the next begins. It's like, if you look out the corner of your eye, what are you seeing? Are you seeing a tree or are you seeing a pile of bones? Where does one flicker of imagery capture you and you don't know what's happening? It kind of makes the sand shift under your feet.
We set up an environment whereas the characters aren't sure where they are. And that's actually the story structure of the film. They don't know where they are, what they're doing there, or what's happened to them. The design throughout the course of the film takes the characters on their journey as they discover more and more about where they are and what they're up against and who they're ultimately dealing with here. So it was very fun to start with a very Earth-like environment, of course jungle, and then get further and further into the alien world.
That was on me.
Cut!
Cut it!
All righty. Ali!
One of the big things that was a directive from Nimród when we began day one on Predators was a specific environment called the hunting camp. And Nimrod's directive was, I want the hunting camp to look like a Bosch painting. The hunting camp needs to be hell.
The particular painting that I'm talking about had a busyness about it, and the palette itself was, we knew we were shooting a lot of stuff in the daytime, and that's a scary thought for someone who's trying to make a horror film or a film that has the suspense and tension in it. You know, the more you could hide the monsters in the shadows, the more effective you'll be. So we were almost going against the grain by having one of our big first reveals in the day, and that was a scary, scary idea.
Oh, shit! What the hell is that thing?
But that palette somehow, with the dark earth tones and the deep shadows, immediately inspired me and gave me a sense of hope that it can be done, it can be pulled off.
That was awesome, man. That was good stuff.
We were talking a little earlier about the look for predators. We went through as our hunting camp progressed. We took photos along the way to make sure that we stayed true to that palette. I have a couple of other examples here. A lot can happen, of course, when you add atmosphere to your environment, which you know that you want, especially when you have night shooting, jungle shooting, that kind of thing. You want all your shapes to really stand out.
One of the great things about this film has been working with the Hungarians, Nimród and Yautja. Yautja is a fantastic DP, and he's brought Eastern European aesthetic to it, which just throws it off even a little bit more than what audiences are expecting. Right. Both Nimród and Yautja have a very creative design eye, and they've been very enjoyable to work with.
It was a scary experience for me because there was a huge set in the film, and it was something that a majority of really important scenes play out in. So it was a terrifying aspect of the process of making the film. When we initially saw it, it was still being built. It wasn't finished yet. My reaction was, oh, we're in trouble. But then we showed up the day before shooting. And of course, Steve and Kayla, along with the Greens department, had managed to dress it and to complete it, and it was stunning. It was really mind-blowing. And then, in addition, when Yautja came in and lit it, it was really impressive. So at the end of the day, I was relieved. Going into it, not so much, but by the end, it was perfect.
I'm stuck in a tree! Do something!
If you insist. Who are you?
Early on, when we were talking about the options and the directions to take, we all knew the most important thing is to have someone who can act. And when you're making any film, to have a good actor on the floor, you need that. I mean, you just have to have someone who brings a certain caliber of performance.
Well, I always, just in my movies, try to just cast up, just get the best actors, you know, even if I was doing a comic book movie like Sin City, like, get Bruce Willis, get Benicio del Toro, you know, get Mickey Rourke, and it just elevates the material so much.
I want off this planet. You understand me?
It was really important for me that each character felt like they could be a star of their own movie, that they were rich enough, even if they only said a few lines, that you could picture a whole motion picture of just that character before they got to the planet, and if you were just to follow them. Then to see how they would mix together and how they would have that uneasy alliance. You put a bunch of alphas together and you get to see what happens.
If you look at Aliens or if you look at Predator, those films already had a unit that had worked as a unit and that had functioned as a unit, whereas we have a bunch of individuals thrown together who are forced to come together as a unit. So the dynamic is very different. In Predator, there was a shorthand among the characters. A glimmer or a glance was enough for one character to understand what the other was thinking and for the viewer to understand what was happening. Whereas here, we had to take a little bit of a longer route because they didn't have that shorthand. They didn't have that knowledge of one another. But that added a sense of tension that the other film didn't have.
You put us at risk for yourself. You want to be on your own? You got it.
A lot of the negative comments, I think, came from Adrien not being built like Arnold Schwarzenegger. We had no intentions of imitating and replicating Arnold's character. If we would have done that, I think we would have been doing the film a disservice and we would have been doing the viewers a disservice.
Please stop doing that. There was a style of making movies, and we had big, strong men defending us, and there's something fun and exciting about that, but I think movies today have changed a bit, and we are trying to be more rooted in the reality of things.
They don't make them like they used to anymore. You look at what Hollywood is perpetuating as leading men. It's these teenagers, these like lady boys, you know. Bronson, McQueen, Lee Marvin. He was the man, man.
So badass.
With Adrien, it was a much more realistic choice of what soldiers look like today, and you can't compete with Arnold Schwarzenegger. So why are you going to go that direction? It's much better to go the other direction and do something the audience isn't expecting.
That's part of what attracted me to this, and in my preliminary discussions with Robert, I stated how I wanted to create a very flawed and tragic hero for the film, and Royce is the heroic role, but he's a dark human being.
I'm guessing ex-military. Black Ops. Probably a mercenary.
You got a problem with that?
Not at the moment.
Arnold!
So board towards the front, right?
Yep. I believe it's very rare that a filmmaker is able to present a woman in this kind of an atmosphere in a plausible way, in a believable way. I think most of the time they do look like they're props, or that they're, you know, just the love interest for the lead actor.
That was tough.
I was a bit like that.
That was okay. It looked like you were scared. It looked like something was coming at you, so that was perfect.
She not only was believable, but she was good at what she did. I mean, she clearly sold the sniper.
To be a sniper, Nimród Antal gave me a little book about snipers, and the main thing that they say is like they really need to be precise and methodic and organized. I love, by the way, thank you so much, the sniper.
The sniper book?
It's really cool because in the beginning it kind of gives an introduction of what it takes to be a sniper.
Yeah.
How they recruit the sniper,
and the mentality.
And how like you can be accepted or not, what qualities you have to have. But one of the things that is interesting that I was going to suggest you for one of the scenes is that you always have to have a third
tripod.
So maybe for that scene with the dog, if you want, we can just put it on something, the gun. I'll show you the chapter,
Okay.
Just because they say like it needs to be on something so it doesn't shake with the breathing or with the body.
I don't know if time will allow for that
To put,
scene, you know, for you to prepare that much, but we'll play with it.
Who are you?
The one you don't fuck with.
Fortunately, Laurence Fishburne is one of those actors that everybody wants to work with. He is a true artist, and in this day and age, that is unfortunately a rarity.
How do we kill them? However you can.
What's nice about this movie also is that it really is a throwback to the old Predator in some ways. The tone of it is darker, but the structure of it is very much the same. The archetypes of the characters are similar. They're different, but they're similar enough that you get a feeling like the old movie is somehow really part of this movie in a really interesting way. And my character is one of those sort of pieces that connects to the old movie.
But I'm telling you, man, Louis, shirt off, 34 degrees. And the funny thing is, in all their takes, they're usually watching one another, but that day, Louis had no love because no one was there. No, Louis was alone, so no one was witness to what the dude was doing. 34 degrees, wind machine on, getting spritzed down, and not one time did he say anything. The interesting thing about Louis was, upon casting him, he's a young, good-looking guy, and I was initially a little concerned because I didn't know if he was going to bring the weight that the character needed to bring. Louis had a limited amount of dialogue, and it was a very difficult role to play because the actual character he's playing is very reserved. Your dialogue is taken away, your monologues are taken away, so you're left with very little to do. All you have is your eyes. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like it. An actor who's had so much removed, he has so little to work with, but that little thing that he does have is huge.
All right, here we go. Settle, please.
Settle.
You rolling? Hey, why don't you calm down?
Fuck you!
Hey, calm down.
Hey, fuck you!
Bring him down a little bit. Down, there you go. Hey, why don't you calm down?
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you!
Danny Trejo was who I wanted for the Cuchillo character earlier on, you know? No, Danny's fun. And Danny Trejo has been in so many films that I'm a fan of, you know? So when you actually meet him, you're just, it was kind of a geek out moment for me.
Yeah, if you got a long-term rental or something.
Bro,
It's gonna be so fucking awesome.
it's gonna be fucking sick, Holmes. It's gonna be sick, dude.
Shit.
That first shot when you're coming up in a panic, not knowing where you are, man.
With 2 guns?
With 2 guns.
But Danny Trejo was one of those actors who, I mean, it's Danny Trejo, come on.
You ain't never seen no guns like this, Holmes. Perfect. You know what I mean?
I didn't want Danny to be in this movie. I actually thought they wrote in the script a Danny Trejo type, and I went, you can't put a Danny Trejo type. There is no other Danny Trejo, and then anybody we get is going to be a disappointment because they're not Danny Trejo.
Pinche puta! So far, I've been a culinary drawer for Robert Rodriguez. I've played every cooking utensil there is. I think we're gonna do a movie called Butter Knife, and I'll be like a kindergarten teacher or something. Hi, kids. Today we're gonna kill people. Oh, boy. That was funny.
Cut, that was great.
Cut.
Perfect. One more.
Cut. Right away. Here we go.
Good.
Come on.
We were very cautious in designing the suits to not stray from the original too much, but at the same time add elements that would make it fresh and make it modern.
There's something about the practical effects you can get and achieve that work really well with the Predator creature, and we didn't want to get away from that. There's just something that feels more real about it being there. Again, you wanted to feel like we captured these guys and put them on this planet to film them for the movie. You didn't want it ever to feel like an effect.
The first day the Predator showed up was something very special. I mean, I remember the first day we had an actual Predator on set. It kind of hit us all that, oh, wow, we're making a Predator movie. Robert had secured quite a team here, so I was able to communicate with, of course, the production designers and the visual effects supervisor and the visual effects team. We were able to start, discussing concepts and ideas for the dogs and the predators themselves.
We've worked with K&B and Greg Nicotero and those guys for so long. We have such a shorthand, There's just, they know how we work. I think most shops would have run for the hills. I mean, we prepped this film in 10 weeks. How do you go from 0 to they shoot 1 with that much work is astounding.
It was one of those things where we looked at the schedule and we just thought, God, how are we going to pull this off? Every single piece had to be created from scratch. It wasn't like you could use a hand mold or, oh, there's a creature claw over there. I mean, every single dreadlock, every single piece of jewelry, every mandible, every single element of these creatures had to be created from scratch. And we had literally, I would say, between 12 and 13 weeks. And we ended up doing between the dog creatures and there was another large alien that we created, plus multiples of each of the predators. We ended up doing 15 or 16 different creatures. Robert Rodriguez and Nimród really were specific about wanting our classic Predator to be sort of referred to as the cassette tape and the new Predator as the iPod version. So it needed to be sleek and elegant and fierce.
We didn't have to go that far off the reservation, but we found a balance, I think, that would appease the hardcore fans, but still, get them excited about what's to come.
So there's 3 main super predators, and we're calling them berserkers because they're crazy. This is one of our current hero, Black Berserker. He's super black. He's the coolest super predator in the jungle. And then we also have a more kind of technical, streamlined version 2.0 guy. We've got a lot of talented individuals with a lot of different ideas, and so for those to come together, we're trying to deconstruct their individual concepts and build something that would be a super concept. That's the brainchild of everyone who's been working on this for the past 3 months.
I had ideas of bringing the armor closer to the body and sweeping the dreadlocks back and elongating the head a little bit so that it wasn't quite as square looking, but was long and lean. And it's not always bigger is better. I mean, we really wanted to keep them sleek.
That was good. The head lull was perfect, sir. One thing in this Predator film that I don't believe the other films touched upon was the actual hunting culture, that being trapping, flushing, and driving. So the Predators have different techniques that they use in their hunting, and their look is influenced by that. We're going to be seeing a few different kinds of monsters and a few different things that we haven't seen before.
It's not even defined in the script, but through the course of the build, the first thing I said is, we need to define the characters of who these 3 guys are. The masks are what we see for most of the film, and they have a lot of personality. So the Falconer had a specific mask design, and then the dog handler had these tusks that he had taken off of one of the dogs. And then Mr. Black had this weird sort of alien jaw that was incorporated into his mask. So each one of these guys has a different personality. The suit is only as successful as 2 factors. You have to add in the performer, and then you have to add in how it's shot. And Jula has made everything look absolutely breathtaking.
Anytime you show a Predator in a wide shot running around, you're taking a lot of risks by doing that. So we tried to compose it in a way where we were able to maintain a sense of mystery. I learned a lot in the process, and it was very difficult as far as time, and because you do have prosthetics and you have practical explosions going off, so we wanted to achieve quite a lot in a relatively short amount of time. When you're working with people like K&B and Greg Nicotero, who built the suits, you could just sit back and enjoy the ride. They do such a great job, and a lot of the times as a filmmaker, you're trying to fix things. You're trying to hide a bad something, with lighting or adjust a performance with a cut. You know, there's a lot of tricks that you can incorporate to make something stronger. But in this case, with Greg's suits, you could literally just put the camera on it, and it was just awesome.